now in Durres, which is a port town, a seaside town. We're in the old part of town, despite the high rises. We're in the old bit. The port's just over there, and then beyond that there's a long sandy beach that goes for about 3 miles, but it's very, very congested over on that side, whereas the old town side, where we are, is much quieter. I'll show you where we're staying, because there's no camper stops or campsites here, so I'll just show you the hotel. And that's the view. Not bad. The main town, the old town I should say, just round that headland. It's about a 20-minute walk, I suppose. The same continues to the right, but the sun's shining right across from there, so we'll just get loads of glare. And inside the apartment we have a double bed, obviously, with a couple of cupboards, table and chair, refrigerator, air conditioning, TV. I don't imagine there's much on Albanian TV that we'll be able to watch. Compact bathroom, but it's all clean. That's all you need, really. So, standing at the door, it's a decent size, and it's €30 a night. So, I would say that's pretty reasonable. More socialist realism statues. I assumed it was Second World War again, but apparently this and another one across the road symbolises Albanian resistance to the Italian attempt to colonise the place, an invasion. So it dates back to pre-Second World War, late 30s. Well, the statue may not, but the symbolism certainly. So the old town was enclosed by walls, obviously, not uncommon at the time. Large chunks of which still survive. The bits you see now are probably early Byzantine, and further down there's a Venetian tower from when the Venetians took over the place. And then directly opposite the old walls and towers, you've got this enormous edifice, which is marked up as the Albanian College, so some sort of university. It's huge, and in a very yes, and in English. Yeah, everything's in English. Admissions open, registration ongoing, blah blah blah, all seems to be in English. Absolutely enormous, in the classical style. Possibly overdone, but you know, that's a matter of taste. Albania is full of stray dogs. They're all very timid and not at all unfriendly. They're very calm, all of them. But some appear to have tags on their ears, so I'm assuming the local council must check them out, neuter them, and then let them go back on the streets. And there is the occasional cat as well. I'm not entirely sure of the model, to be honest. The front end sort of looks Fairlane, Ford Fairlane, something like that. Certainly late 60s. Massive and interesting and unusual in Albania. So Durres goes back to the Greeks and then the Romans, so very old. There's a forum here in quite good condition really, and this very large amphitheatre, which I think originally held about 20,000 people. So a big Roman settlement, dwarfed nowadays by the high rises and things, but there's lots of old stuff to do if you're looking at it. And then next we'll have a look at the main square, where there's a direct contrast between old Albania and then Hodges Albania. So the main square is really rather attractive, laid out of these palm trees and fountains, with some socialist era architecture in the theatre at the back, and then there's some sort of administrative building there, and then the town hall is behind us, which is Italianate, 1929 I think it was built, in Italian style, and then overlooked by some more of the old city walls, and then the huge central mosque. Now Hodja declared Albania as a totally atheist state in the mid-60s at some time, 65, 66, something like that, and all religion was banned. Now Albania is sort of 70% Muslim, 20% Catholic, 10% Orthodox. They were all banned, and he destroyed lots of the mosques. However, some were spared, like this one, because they were regarded as national monuments and therefore worthy of being saved, just to show people what it was like in the old days before Hodja and his regime liberated, in inverted commas, the population. But it's a lovely open space, very very calm, very relaxing city. Durres, very chilled. So the remains of the forum are fairly extensive. It's actually described as Byzantine because it's dates back to approximately 6th century AD, but really still Roman, obviously. But pretty complete. So Durres is a fairly well-off little place, and you find things like this British registered McLaren, which at a rough guess is probably a £250,000 car. I don't really know, but an awful lot of money. The cars generally are a similar age and standard as stuff you find around Manchester. There's even a pier, which, judging by the styling, particularly where you come in, is probably a communist era, but nice all the same. Right guys, apologies if you can hear some background noise from people enjoying themselves on the beach, but I just wanted to finish this Durres video with one last bit, and it has relevance to us Brits. Now, in 1066, when the Normans invaded and killed King Harold, large numbers of Anglo-Saxon warriors decided that they couldn't live under Norman rule and they were better off going somewhere else. So the figure has estimated around 10,000, so a lot. Anyway, they boarded ships and off they sailed and ended up in Byzantium, what would become Constantinople, and in the pocket, shall we say, of the Byzantine emperor, who used them as mercenaries as part of the Varangian Guard. Now, the concept of mercenaries being a close guard of the emperor went back to Roman times and would also continue again under the Ottomans, so a well-trodden path for foreign mercenaries. Anyway, in Sicily at the same time, the Normans had taken that over and had decided that it wasn't enough for them and they were going to expand into the Balkans. So the Normans invaded what is now Albania, and the emperor sent out his troops, including the Varangian Guard, who also included Vikings, by the way, and also men from Rus, which is where we get the name Russia from, who were of course Ukrainian. So Ukraine is actually the centre of historic Russia, but anyway, that's by the by. So he sent them off here to just outside Durres, not far from where the port is now, maybe 2 kilometres down from where the port is now, where they attacked the Normans and were very successful, the Anglo-Saxons, and pushed the Normans a long way back. However, ill discipline meant that they kept pushing and pushing and pushing, so the Normans spotted an opportunity to encircle them, which they did. And then once encircled, obviously the butchery would commence, and the Anglo-Saxons ended up hiding in a church, which I would have liked to have shown you, but it is permanently closed, the ruins of which are permanently closed, I suspect because the area has been taken over now by the Albanian Navy. But anyway, that's another aside. Anyway, they ended up in this church. Now there are two historical descriptions of how it ended. One is that they crammed in and there wasn't room for everyone, and more crammed on top, and the roof collapsed and they all died. The second story, which I think is probably slightly more believable, is they all crammed into the church and the Normans set fire to it and they all died. Either way, the church ended up in ruins and the Anglo-Saxons all ended up dead. But there you go. Over 1,000 years ago, Britons were fighting on this little stretch of coast on behalf of the Byzantine Emperor, which I think is fascinating, quite frankly, and I thought I'd share it with you. So that's it for Durres. We'll say goodbye to the beach, because tomorrow we're going to head inland to the town of Berat, which is the town of 1,000 windows. So we'll see you there.